Hi everybody, thank you for being here with us today. My name is Mitchell Chirac. I'm the in-house sommelier here at Astris.
I'm Mike Nelson, the winemaker, and we are going to walk you guys through some of our new releases here.
Sweet. So, starting out, Mike, the white.
So this is our 2019 Picpoul Blanc. Fruit comes to us from Reddy Vineyards up in the High Plains in Brownfield, Texas, BJ Reddy's place. This is our first Picpoul Blanc release, although it has always been a favorite varietal of mine, so we were very excited to get our hands on some. Picpoul is a great varietal for Texas, native to the Rhone Valley in France. Let's dive in. Love the nose. It's a super light. It's like a tart, light, refreshing grape. Picpoul roughly translates to lip stinger. So it's meant to have this tartness, kind of a brightness, a crispness to it. I love this wine, and interestingly enough, it's been a problem child wine for us.
This one specifically, or Picpoul as a whole?
No, this one specifically.
Okay.
So it was just the day that we got the fruit in, we also got about 40 tons of white grapes in, and so there was quite a line for the press. By the time we got around to getting this into the press, it was about 9 o'clock at night. It was extremely juicy fruit, so it took a lot of press cycles to get it pressed out. We were there until about 4 in the morning pressing this out. So we refer to this as our 4 a.m. Picpoul. And just every step of the process has been a little bit difficult with this wine, but it's been great. We had a labeler issue, had a tough time getting the capsules on the bottles. So yeah, it's been kind of a problem child.
Well, and for those of you who haven't noticed, if you've been Astris fans for a while, you'll notice that this is a different shape. We're going with this is the Burgundy shaped glass, right?
It is, yes.
Whereas we've been with the Bordeaux shaped glasses for everything else. So
I wanted to go full Rhone, but
yeah,
that's a whole other animal when you got those super wides.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just kind of went with the more
kind of tapered.
Tapered look.
So
and it's got a bigger punt.
Oh.
There, yeah.
Oh, fun. So I love this wine personally because it, to me, is so unique to white wines that we have made in the past. So with our previous releases of white wines, you had some similarities between I think like the Viognier and the Hoover Valley Roussanne were kind of similar. The Malvasia, the Albarino were a little bit similar. This is a incredibly unique white wine release for us. It is both unique on the nose, on the flavor, and as well as kind of the overall structure and palate too. So immediately, the reason I love this wine is it jumps out of the glass like coconut, like pineapple, so we were sitting down, funny story, we were sitting down coming up with our tasting notes for this wine, and everybody was saying that there's something in there tropical fruit-wise that they don't know what it is. Yeah. Everybody was saying lychee, there was kiwi, there was passion fruit, so there's something else in here that nobody could quite put their finger on, but I think the overall idea is that it is a very tropical smelling wine.
There's this pina colada aromatic characteristic. It's not like a pineapple or a coconut. It's like literally after you make the pina colada mix, the way that smells in the blender.
Just kind of that combination of all those things. Yeah. And you said it's, Picpoul is kind of a light lip stinger, good sharp acidity, really refreshing kind of a wine. But if you really take a sip of this wine and think about it, it's got a long finish and it's a little bit fuller bodied. This is certainly not like our Solis, where you take a sip of it, it's cool, it's refreshing, it's fun, it's fruity, but it's not overtly serious. I think that this is very easily a kind of fuller bodied food-friendly wine, as well as a summer white to pop and you can do both.
It'll appeal to both, or any crowd that's drinking it, but whether you want to take this out to the porch and pop a bottle of it next to the pool or the lake or the whatever, perfect for that. If you want to pair this with some some seafood, this is a very good food pairing wine.
Coconut shrimp is coming to mind because
I'm
of that
thinking
kind
like
of coconut.
scallop, some sort of scallop dish.
Yeah, scallop could work. Yeah, with some orzo and and something like maybe nice creamy risotto or orzo.
Or like a lobster pasta, lobster or crab. But this would be so perfect
because they've got sweeter seafood meat for sure.
Buttery seafood meat with the sharp. And so I also get a lot of green apple. I guess that's more of the palate, less on the nose.
Sure.
But that is a refreshing taste to me. It's I've had Picpouls that go maybe too far on the apple flavor, and this is like you can definitely detect it, but it's not overwhelming.
Absolutely. No, this is a really, really stellar wine. I think, when we were sitting down doing those tasting notes, I turned to you at one point when everybody else was kind of talking, and I was like, dude, this is like a very exciting wine for me. Because as we were sitting there drinking it, I mean, everybody was trying to figure out the tasting note, so it took us a while, and people just kept pouring glasses of it, and it kept kind of changing as you would drink it. You'd pick up something new each and every time you would drink it, and I think I told you, I was like, dude, this is a fun wine now. I think it's an age-worthy wine. I think it's a food pairing wine. I think it's a pop it and just enjoy it wine. Yep. I think that this is a wine that will appeal to quite a few people.
Agreed.
Rosé time?
Let's do it.
Cool. We've got so this is our, if you guys, again, if you've been following us for some time, you know that we had an Aurora Rosé last year. It was our 2018 vintage of Aurora, so this is the 2019 vintage.
And so a little bit about this rosé. It's a direct press rosé. Last year we had a Saignée rosé where we bled juice out of the tanks that the grapes arrived in. This we just took portions of each of our lots of red and put them directly into the press, pressed them out, and then did red wine with the other parts of the lot. So it's kind of an odd combination of grapes. It's Mourvedre, Cinsualt, and Malbec, but it's a combination that works pretty good. I really like this. It's maybe not as serious as last year's rosé, but it's your prototypical pool. Let's have a good time, not too serious. Good summer rosé.
I absolutely agree. I think that those people who came in, over the course of last year and really, really enjoyed the Aurora Rosé from the last vintage, you'll definitely find that this one is certainly different. There's a little almost kind of effervescence on it, a little bit. Not like, it's not bubbly, but there's a fun, frizzy kind of light and bubbly kind of aspect to this wine that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, to go back, if you enjoyed last year's Aurora, this is definitely different. So if you're getting it and expecting the exact same thing, that real full body, that slight bit of detectable kind of tannin.
It's not as juicy as last year. Last year, my favorite way to describe last year's rosé was juicy.
Right.
And this is more, it's light, it's crisp, it's tart. Mm-hmm. It's actually like a great follow-up to that Picpoul.
It really is. It really is, because it's got that good acidity, but it's very watermelony. It's very strawberry.
I get kiwi for sure.
Oh yeah,
kiwi screaming at me.
This is I'm for whatever reason I'm thinking like what candy, and it's not. When I say candy, don't think that this wine's sweet, because it's definitely not that. It's very dry. This is honestly tastes even drier than last year's rosé.
Yeah, it is.
But what's a good, it's not, maybe the tropical Skittles that have strawberry and watermelon and kiwi, but I'm thinking of, it's not like full on tropical like the Picpoul with pineapple and coconut, but it does have that kiwi in addition to watermelon and strawberry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, strawberry, kiwi. Again, just a fun, it's like a good, it is more, a little more tart than last year's rosé. So after your first sip, your mouth kind of adjusts to the tartness. The fruit really expresses itself on that second sip.
It does, and it comes through beautifully on the nose as well. So I think that for this wine, you could pair this wine with food if you're needing something to have some acidity to kind of cut through something. But to me, this is a pool pounder.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm drinking this by the pool. Opening this to watch a sunset,
Oh,
just something where, I'm not going to design a meal around this, but I'd be happy to, pour this to my guests when they arrive and then dive into the more food-friendly stuff.
Hopefully we're not all still quarantined come like July and August, because if you're like ready for like pool season to go, hit up the pool and have the right bottle of rosé or whatever to drink with it, I think that this one will for sure scratch that itch.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, on to the red wines. So up first, the 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon. Mike, tell them all about it, man.
All right, guys.
I love this freaking label so much.
The label turned out really well. So this is a cab that comes from the family vineyard in Brownfield. We bought cab from them in 2016 and 2017, so 2017 should be kind of a nice follow-up to this one. Really nice fruit. Nothing remarkable in the winemaking process. It was bin fermented fruit, kind of standard fermentation process, punch downs, pressed it out after about 8 to 10 days. We barrel aged this in a combination of French and American oak. It's pretty I'd say similar to a lot of other Texas cabs. It's not necessarily going to be reminiscent of a Napa or a Bordeaux, but it's nice, and there's some fruit to it, there's some depth to it, there's some tannin to it.
So it's interesting. So somebody posted a picture the other day. They were talking about getting more into drinking Texas wines. And they mentioned how they had been kind of falling by the wayside on drinking Texas wines, but something that they always feel is like reminiscent about opening a bottle of Texas wine is they seem to have a little bit of more of a wild characteristic to them. And I think that's not necessarily always apparent with Texas wines, but I think our Cabernet in particular, it seems to be a more kind of rough and tumble kind of version of Cabernet to me. I think that Bordeaux and Napa, while those two are definitely different in their versions of Cabernet, I think that they both have this kind of almost luxury kind of thing going on with them. Whereas in Texas, the Cabernet, it tastes so much different, and it has this more it's got more punchy acidity. It's more medium bodied than full bodied. It doesn't go full on like black fruits.
You don't get the velvety
thing. It's more of a food pairing. In my opinion, I think that our Cabernet is more food pairing Cabernet because it's got more acid, because it's got more nuance, and it's more kind of medium bodied. It's not going to cover up too much. It more complement things.
I would agree with that. I love the nose of this wine because there's some spice to it. Mm-hmm. There's this floral, not floral, but like I think we talked about it at one point as being rose petal-y.
Dude, no, 100%. It has some like kind of rose, like fresh, like if you were to take a rose petal, pick it off of a rose and kind of smell it, maybe give it a little chew a little bit. I mean, it's definitely got that kind of rose petal thing going on with it. In addition to red fruits, I think for sure, more red fruit than black fruit.
And that, as I take my second sip, there's like the mid palate and the end of the palate, there's plenty of tannin in here. I mean, it's a lighter red wine, as far as like, I know, right? Let me hit that again.
Dude, so this, if any of you guys follow me on the liquid culture, especially even recently, I just put a Cabernet video out. You know that I'm not a huge Cabernet guy. But that really mostly applies to those big, bold, jammy, kind of more one-dimensional cabs. And when I take a sip of this, when I stick my nose into this wine, not to kind of toot our own horns, but I think that this is an infinitely more complex and exciting version of Cabernet than just blackberries and cedar. I think there's a lot going on with this wine.
I agree. And, every vintage is different. 2016 was actually a very unique vintage. A lot of weather issues, but we skated through that, at least at this vineyard, unscathed. We had a pretty good harvest. It's...
Is there any... going back to that comment about wild characteristic, it has some kind of brambly kind of kind of bramble bush, kind of greeny. It's not necessarily pyrazine, but there is some kind of something brambly about it. Yeah. Was there any sort of like stem or anything like that left in? Was there maybe a hard press done on it at all or anything like that?
No, I mean we destemmed it at the cellar. That could come from the fact that we did punch downs as opposed to pump overs.
Sure. Okay.
Extracting a little bit of astringency from the seed tannin.
Well, but see, I don't see it as astringent though. I think astringency has a negative connotation.
Sure.
It just has kind of a.
You get the same. I mean, there's a fine line I think between like pyrazine and astringent.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the seed tannin. And you can interpret it one way or the other. And again, it's not like we didn't like over press it, so you don't get there's not an overwhelming amount. But when you have those punch downs and you're kind of massaging that out of the grape, I could see that
pulling some of that out. Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt. I think that this is a really, really fun Cabernet. Again,
you know what I'm thinking? So the rose petal-y kind of thing, I feel like that would go really well with like herbs for Provence.
Mm-hmm.
So like using this as like the wine for coq au vin.
Absolutely.
I think that could be exciting.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. When I drink this wine, I'm putting this wine into, like, I'm thinking about like categorizing this wine, right? So if those of you out there watching are thinking I'm a big cab drinker, think about this. So when I drink this wine, I put this wine more into Burgundy or like maybe almost like an Italian in kind of style. It's just it's more in that line where there's more kind of feminine and masculine qualities going on at the same time.
I like that way of describing it. And I would say, at the same time, there are also people who are like, I don't care for cab. It's too jammy.
Yep.
It's too kind of, I'm used to that over-extracted Napa, residual sugar, cab, and I don't care for it. Give this a try because it's different, and I think you might like it. Like it's way more friendly, food pairing wise. It's a little bit lighter. It's definitely not a fruit bomb.
No.
It's not a tannin bomb. But it's nice, well balanced, and I think we put it together pretty well.
Absolutely, man. Good job.
Thanks, man.
I would certainly put that in another one of those. I'm pretty sure when we were doing that tasting, I turned to you on this wine and said the same thing. Like,
yeah.
This is a really exciting wine. Cool. Up next, we've got the 2016 High Plains Tempranillo.
Indeed. All right. Love this wine. It comes to us from Morning Dove Vineyards. It's managed by Dusty Timmons. Also in the High Plains Brownfield area. So this is your classic Tempranillo, kind of made in the Rioja style. We used American oak to age it. You can detect that on the nose, I think. Not overwhelmingly, but you can definitely tell that it's there. One thing worth mentioning, we didn't make a ton of this in 2016. So we've got under 150 cases was our total production, like 142 cases. So this will go quickly.
Yes.
We do have 2017 Tempranillo in bottle already, so we're ready for that.
Well, it'll definitely go quickly, seeing as our 2015 Tempranillo was one of the first wines for us to sell out of, and was a absolute fan favorite here in the tasting room.
Indeed.
And we have had for months and months people coming in asking if they can, like, if we have any the 2015 Tempranillo like hiding away that they can sneak a couple extra bottles of. So as soon as this one hits the shelves, it's gonna be like those people are gonna be grabbing it really quickly. But it is very similar to me. I mean, even though it comes from a different vineyard and a, kind of a different terroir, so to speak, the way that you guys made this wine, it does speak very much still of Rioja, just like the 2015 did.
I think the 2015 was slightly heavier for whatever reason. The grapes we could extract more from them. It had a little more, I don't know, it was like even just like visually a little more opaque. So this is a slightly lighter version, but I agree. I mean, taste-wise and spice level.
Yeah, the tannin's a little bit lower on this one than the 15. It certainly is not as bold as the 15, but I would say the flavors are just as intense. and they're in a similar kind of DNA with that.
Yeah.
Again, we're still in red fruit category in my opinion. There's tobacco, there's leather,
Absolutely.
there's
You get that, yeah.
there's spiciness, there's a little woodsiness. Although on the nose, it's not as woodsy, oaky as the 15, I think.
Right.
Which, you know me, in my wheelhouse, I'm happier with this, but I think that it still provides those same things.
I feel like the oak on this is more in that buttery, buttery realm as opposed to the cedar box or tobacco.
Which is for sure the 15. The 15 had tons of like cigar box, like cedar, tobacco, all that kind of cool stuff going on with it that was probably what made it so popular. This one, it's not, like you said, it's a little bit more lush version, a little bit more elegant version of the oak influence.
And it's that classic, I mean, it's that garnet, you know.
Yeah, well, as soon as I was starting to pour it in your glass, I could see it coming out as a different color than the cab for sure. But
I mean, again, showing like why people have gravitated towards Tempranillo. It does really well in Texas. You know, it's a grape that kind of bursted onto the scene in the 80s and 90s. It's one of the first that, you know, people started planting in large numbers, other than Cab, Merlot, and a few others.
Yeah. As far as food is concerned, so the 2015 was kind of, if anybody ever came in and ordered a cheese board and they asked, what is the best wine you guys have to pair with a cheese board? If I was giving them a red option, it was almost always the Tempranillo, because I think that this is a wine that, you know, it's kind of in that vein, like we talked about. It's Rioja in style, and in Spain they do a lot of cheese and charcuterie and things like that.
Oh, it's such a good charcuterie wine.
And I texted you last night about this, and I'm going to bring it up now because it's like coming to me while I'm drinking this wine.
Yeah.
But there is a tinned fish from Jose Gourmet. It is these calamari that are stuffed with this like chorizo rice mixture,
so
and they're stored in the can with this like spicy ragu sauce.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking like 3 cans of that, a big baguette, maybe some manchego cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, a bottle of this. That's like, my mouth is watering.
That is, I mean, that's like one of those classic food pairings is tapas and Tempranillo. And
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason it's so bad. Like you hit all the notes, like the tomatoes, the bread, the manchego, the chorizo. Like those play so nicely with the spice, the still decent acidity, and also tannins, and then the tertiary flavors that come from the oak. I mean, I love Tempranillo. I'm so glad Tempranillo does so well in Texas. And I'm very, very pleased with how this 2016 Tempranillo turned out.
And I think, to go to the aging conversation, I think that this is one of those wines where it drinks great now. If you did decide to age it, I think you would get more interesting kind of tertiary things like the leather and the earthiness come through with this wine as the fruity quality kind of sheds away.
Yeah.
But I think it's perfectly like in balance right now.
Thank you.
Last but not least, guys.
All right, pushing on to the Maximus.
Maximus 2016. Maximus Red Blend. Tell them what it is, Mike.
All right, so nice little blend here of Cabernet Sauvignon, actually the same cab that we did as a single varietal, and then Tannat, and then a little Petit Verdot. So I think it comes out to 46% Cabernet, 40% Tannat, 14% Petit Verdot. Really nice, kind of almost a Texas spin on a Bordeaux blend, I guess. You know, you've got your Cab and Petit Verdot, throw some Tannat in there. The Tannat came to us from Ready Vineyards up in Brownfield. We extracted just a ton of flavor of tannin out of that Tannat, and it was almost too much to do as a single varietal. So we wanted to kind of balance it out or use it as the backbone of another blend. So in doing that, we paired it with some Cab, put some Petit Verdot in there to kind of round it out, and been really pleased with the results.
Yeah, to me, this is, just to take a pause real quick, in terms of this overall lineup, we're at the last wine here. In terms of this overall lineup, there is a stellar white wine that will play as a not too serious pounder, but also a wine that you could pop and pair with food and just sit and like pick things out over the course of 2 hours with. There's a rosé that is just primed and ready for summertime. We've got a nice light acid-driven cab. We've got this spicy, oaky, kind of leathery Tempranillo. And now we're on to this wine, which is the full-bodied, kind of dark fruit, brooding, like there's oak influence in here. I'm getting like good, really like vanilla characteristics out of this wine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for a lineup of wines that are gonna take you through like a great spectrum of what wine can be, from light to dark, I mean, we've hit it today, no doubt.
And you could even, I could see you, doing all of these in one go. If you have some rosé by the pool, pop open the Picpoul to kind of cleanse your palate. Rock a Tempranillo with some charcuterie board. Have the cab as a intervening wine, and then
finish the night with a little Maximus,
with a steak or something.
So, not to jump too far past like tasting notes and all that kind of stuff, because we'll jump into that. But I have to say, as I stick my nose into this wine, I don't know. Do you follow Grant Achatz?
I do. Actually.
Did you see his video the other day about their root beer beef ribs?
I didn't.
Okay, so Grant Achatz, chef of Alinea, Chef's Table. If you haven't watched it, get with the foodie sensation on Netflix and watch it.
That episode in particular.
Yes, incredible story. He right now they're doing food to go. It's a very high-end restaurant, so the fact that they're doing food to go is incredible to me. But they were making a root beer inspired short rib.
Okay.
So essentially a short rib that had been cooked in a sauce with like prunes, raisins, all of your kind of baking spices and barky things that you get with like root beer, served it with a vanilla scented mashed potato.
Wow.
And as I'm smelling this wine, I'm thinking to myself, like, if I could smell what was coming out of that video that he shot the other day, it would smell like this.
Dang, all right.
Because
That's
you've
perfect.
got all those like dark fruit characteristics with those
absolutely.
baking spices and that vanilla coming through that like everything about this wine screams that to me.
I love it. I mean, you hit every part of that, because there is definitely some baking spice there. You get the vanilla. I mean, that's an oak. That's definitely an oak byproduct.
And the fruits are it's like blackberry, plum, but even like plum, raisin, kind of cassis.
And a lot, I mean, the majority of wines in Texas fall on the red fruit side of the spectrum.
For sure.
You get cherry, cranberry, and a lot of Texas wines.
Yeah.
So when you get the blue fruit and the black fruit, it's exciting.
Yes.
I love that that's detectable in this wine for sure.
Well, and I think that this wine right here is absolutely an example of utilizing the ability to blend in Texas as a very crucial aspect that a lot of people get so caught up on single varietal wines.
Sure.
And I think that that's great. I mean, I'm personally am guilty of it as well, but I think here in Texas, if we're wanting to provide a wide spectrum of wines, I mean, we've got a single varietal white, 2 single varietal reds, but this Maximus blend, because it is a blend of certain things that you guys very craftfully, artistry, you put it together with your own hands, you tasted it, you figured out what this wine you wanted to taste like, and you're able to get a fuller expression and a bigger expression to bring that counterpoint to these two more kind of medium-bodied wines.
I love the blending process. Like, so there's an old adage that first you make the wine and then you make the wine. I mean, there's a lot to blending, and like, so you make the wine first, and then what you decide in the blending process, like whether it's 2 different lots of the same varietal, or selecting 3 out of 5 lots of the same varietal, or saying, hey, adding a little Petit Syrah or a little Petit Verdot to this might make it infinitely better. It's a great process and a great stage of the winemaking process. I love that. But you're exactly right. Blending is it allows you to put a wine together rather than kind of just taking what Mother Nature gives you. Mm-hmm. And so if you're like, dang, I want more mid-palate, it's like, okay, well, we've got this Tannat that we extracted a ton of flavor from. Like, let's, add that and see how it is. It's like, okay, well, maybe I get a lot of front palate, and the Tannat gave it some of the back palate. we need more mid-palate. Where are we going to get that? Petit Verdot, great way to bridge the front and the back.
Sure.
Okay, so now we've got this like nice flavor arc, and love it, man.
Comes out to a beautiful wine. And I think that that's something that as the Texas wine industry continues to grow, I think the more people embrace the ability to utilize our terroir to make great single varietals, but also not shy away from doing cool things like not only like blends like this, but like we've had some pretty kick-ass in the last like year, like filled blends that are like really cool. Some vineyards are doing some really cool stuff with filled blending, and I think that that certainly is something that could be a big part of the Texas wine industry's future.
No doubt. And also exciting is how the Maximus kind of stains the glass.
Oh yeah,
People
big time
that
staining.
people we do have a lot of fans and members who like us for our big bold reds. You know, we came right out of the gate with a big Tannat. The Tribus blend really appealed to people.
That Tempranillo that we talked about, that
Exactly.
was 15 was a little bit bigger.
That Tempranillo, our follow-up 2016 Tannat has been well received, and I think you guys are going to like this Maximus if you haven't tried it already.
Absolutely. Well, so those are the wines, guys. I hope that those of you out there who are watching are either watching for a number of reasons. Either you're in the wine club and you're expecting these wines, or you've already received these wines, and you've been waiting on this to kind of get a sense as to what you should open first. I hope that there are some of you out there who are not familiar with Astris, who are watching, who are just interested in what we have to offer, and might want to pop online and place an order to get some of these wines. They all will. When will people be expecting to see these wines available for purchase?
They are all available online right now.
They are on the website,
They're on the
ready to be
website.
purchased and shipped.
Yes, sir.
And then, as far as wine club members who are watching this, have the shipments already gone out?
Pretty much all of them have gone out. There are people who are going to be picking up their wines from us this weekend or in the coming weeks. So yeah, get excited. This is kind of what you're going to get, and I think you'll be very happy. I imagine there are probably some maybe out-of-state folks who have not received their shipments yet, but they should be arriving any day.
Cool. Well, once again, guys, thanks a lot here for being here with us. Mitchell Chirac, Mike Nelson.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us, and take care.
Stay safe, stay happy. Later.